The purpose of Masonry, which started in England, is to spread Masonic lodges and philosophies around the world, which would destabilize the regions, destroy their culture, especially their monarchies and their royal families, which are powerful symbols of their culture and are the people who determine their culture and interpret their traditions and cultural activities for them. Okay? And to replace them with a bunch of communists and atheists and anyone who would help destroy their culture. So as all is said and done, we create a culture that values intellect over superstition and sees people with money as intellectual and smart, which is a hypergamous society where women, tend to reproduce or want to reproduce with the rich. Okay? So when all is said and done, you'll have people saying Queen Elizabeth and Her Majesty's ships and stuff everywhere, right? The sun never sets on the British Empire. So basically the Jews finance it and the whites make the laws, and that is kind of the agreement that they have. And in the process, they destroy royal families, especially Christian royal families. And when you have people like me who are from a tribe that converted to Christianity, that have a royal family, that have kings in different villages and symbolic leaders. The Igbos aren't known for having a strong monarchy, but it's there. There are royal families, and there are traditions. And just like with Russians and the Tsars and all over the world, the English used their Masonic lodges and their Jewish allies to destroy monarchies and to get people to adopt Western philosophies, which inevitably lead them to worshiping Westerners, whether they are Western philosophers in history, current Western philosophers, whether they are teachers at Western institutions, whether they are Western celebrities or Western athletes, Western politicians, Western bankers, Western scientists. They get you to look up and try to emulate them, which creates a social order that puts all the races and religions and philosophies in the world under them, from a mainstream perspective. Okay, it's the purpose of Masonry. It is to destroy culture, especially African culture, because let's face it, Europeans tend to pale in comparison to Africans when it comes to mind, body, and soul. You have to look at it from a perspective, a Western perspective, a biased, racist, cultural, imperialist Western perspective, not to see it that way, I mean, it's really painfully obvious. Whites needed to be the colonists with the money and the power, with the coercive power, the legitimate power, etc., in order for blacks to emulate them. But whites emulate blacks even though they're poor and stigmatized heavily because our culture is superior. These arguments need to be made. They need to be repeated over and over again, especially in the black communities around the world. And anyone who plays stupid about this should be ostracized. Any gays who pretend that gays aren't disproportionately pedophiles, ostracized. The black community needs to deal in truth, in fact, and not in people who claim to have truth and fact who are funded by the Ford Foundation. Okay, we need to actually deal in truth and fact. So when you think about the Masons saying the black community, right? How funny it is that they complain about colonialism when they were the main colonialists. After Masonry came about, colonialism took off, And so their job historically has been to subvert, destroy, and to spread Western culture, to spread the philosophies of the colonists, the actual philosophies of the aristocracy, of the rich class, who all throughout history didn't share the religion of the people. Look at the Knights Templars, for example. They went back and they started recruiting the rich, into their cult philosophy. The rich weren't a bunch of Christians. They were a bunch of cultists who were always looking for a special religion for just them. And it was always cults and secret societies and mystery schools.